Good morning, Pittman Elementary. Today we continue with Dog Days by Karen English, Chapter 5. As soon as Gavin walks into the schoolyard the next morning, he sees Richard on the basketball court playing one-on-one with his brother Darnell. Gavin walks the other way towards the handball courts. When he gets there, he just sits on the bench and watches the handball game in progress. He's a little irritated about Richard's lack of loyalty from the afternoon before. He can still hear his loud laughter. He just might not talk to Richard for a while. Maybe he'll find a new friend. He glances over at the basketball court and sighs. Richard catches his eye then and waves him over, but Gavin stays put as if he doesn't even see him. Richard throws the ball to his brother and runs over to the handball court. He straddles the bench where Gavin sits with his elbow resting on his knees. "What's up?" Richard asks. Gavin looks off across the yard. "Nothing." "How come you're over here and not playing with us?" "I don't feel like it." Richard stares at Gavin for a moment, then says, "You look like you're mad about something." "Why would I be mad about something?" "Is it because I didn't finish walking that dog with you? I had to go." "Right." "For real, I had some chores I had to do at home." Gavin shrugs. The freeze bell rings. Almost everyone freezes in place except Harper. He's busy rolling a basketball around with his foot. Some kids just have to break rules no matter what. Some kids just have to break rules no matter what, Gavin thinks. When the second bell rings, Gavin gets up and walks to room 10's line. Richard follows. "Can you get permission to come to the skate park?" Richard asked as they skipped down the steps after school. He'd been acting extra nice to Gavin throughout the day, even giving him his pudding cup at lunch. Some of Gavin's anger had drifted away. "I'm gonna run home and get my skateboard and something to eat, and then I'm going to the skate park with Darnell and his friends," Richard continues. "I have to walk Carlotta, remember?" Gavin says, annoyed that Richard needs reminding. "Oh yeah," Richard seems to be mulling this over. "What about after you walk Carlotta?" "Then it's time to do my homework, but I'll see." So of course, as Gavin walks home alone, since Richard has run off to the skate park to meet his brother and his brother's friends, he rehearses how he'll put this question to his mom. He's not all that hopeful. His mother can be pretty strict about homework. But as far as Carlotta's concerned, his plan is all mapped out. He's going nowhere near that wig place. Then he has an idea, an even better plan that will take care of his obligation to that furry friend while letting him have some fun. After all, it isn't his fault that Danielle's snow globe got broken. Sure, he shouldn't have been in her room, but then she shouldn't keep hiding candy in her room to tempt him. Anybody would be tempted. Anybody. Gavin practically bounces up his front porch steps, anxious to drop his backpack by the staircase inside and hurry into the kitchen to make his snack. He'll even remember to wash his hands. Then, when his mother calls out, "Don't forget to wash your hands," he can say, "I already did." He loves beating his mom to the punch. Put your backpack on the bottom step out of the way, she's always saying. "I already did." He'll be able to call back. But now that Aunt Myrtle's here, it seems his mother suddenly has a lot to do away from home, a lot of volunteer work and stuff. And his dad doesn't get home until 6. That leaves Gavin at the mercy of Danielle and Aunt Myrtle. What a duo. He's still imagining the way his snack time will go when the door swings open and Aunt Myrtle appears with Carlotta. He's still imagining the way his snack time will go when the door swings open and Aunt Myrtle appears with Carlotta in her arms before he can even climb the porch steps. "There you are," she snaps. "You take Carlotta, and I'll take your backpack." She puts Carlotta, already attached to the pink leash, down on the porch. Gavin hands over his backpack and takes the plastic bag and leash. This is the second day in a row He didn't get to have his wheat crackers and grape jam. Sometimes he thinks grown-ups forget that kids have feelings too. How would Aunt Myrtle like it if she was hungry and somebody gave her a big chore to do before she could even eat? She probably wouldn't like it at all. Oh, Aunt Myrtle says, pulling a rawhide bone from her pocket, don't forget to take Carlotta's choo-choo. Aunt Myrtle nuzzles Carlotta's mouth with the special little bone that Carlotta is always playing with or attacking with her sharp little teeth. It's her favorite thing in the world, according to Aunt Myrtle. When she gets sidetracked, sniffing at everything, just coax her away with this. Gavin takes the grubby thing out of her hand, trying to put the thought of all the dry dog spit that it's probably covered with out of his mind. The end of the week can't come soon enough. That's okay, he said to himself under his breath as he ambles down the front walkway. He has a plan. Aunt Myrtle, he says, stopping at the sidewalk and looking back. Can I keep Carlotta out a little longer? I think she really likes to be out. Aunt Myrtle squints and purses her lips, thinking this over. I guess it won't hurt, but no more than an hour. Yes, ma'am, Gavin says. He hears the door close behind him, and instead of heading down Willow Avenue, his own street, he walks up his driveway to the backyard. His skateboard and helmet are there, propped up against the side of the house. He can't get to his knee pads and elbow pads because they're up in his room. He'll just have to do without them. He has no intention of letting Miss Carlotta, the curse, ruin his life. I wanted to show you the bone. A picture of the bone. There's the bone. Carlotta's choo-choo. Then when his mother calls out, don't forget to wash your hand, he can say, okay, that lost a little bit. Okay, he can't get to his knee pads and elbow pads because they're up in his room. He'll just have to do without them. He has no intention of letting Miss Carlotta, the curse, ruin his life. Too bad he didn't think of this yesterday. He feels pretty good with his skateboard under his arm, his helmet dangling from his free hand, and Carlotta prancing along beside him. She's actually being really good. Gavin thinks she's going to love the park anyway. Maybe she's picking up his excitement and she's excited too. He once read that dogs are supposed to be kind of sensitive, able to pick up on moods and stuff. As soon as he spots the special fenced-off skate park with its step slopes and curved walls and stairs and railways and bowls edges, Gavin's stomach flutters with anticipation. His feet are itching up to jump on his board, but first he has to find a place to tie up Carlotta. It won't be so bad for her. Carlotta will have fun just looking at all the stuff going on in the park. Kids running around, dogs on the jogging path with their owners, soccer practice. Gavin's plan is to stay 30 minutes, no more. 10 minutes to get there, 30 minutes at the park, 10 minutes to get back home. Another day down, $4 in his account. He looks around. Not far away is one of those racks for chaining up a bike. It's only about 10 feet from the skate park. Perfect. Gavin marches Carlotta over there, but when he gets about 3 feet away, she begins to pull back. It's as if she knows this is it for her. It's like when his mother picks him up after school and he gets a funny feeling, but she waits until he's already in the car before she tells him, oh yeah, you have an appointment at the dentist. That's where we're headed. Then he gets to think of that shot in his mouth all the way there. He tugs at Carlotta's leash until he manages to get her to the bike rack. He loops it around the post and then ties a double knot. He tugs it until it's snug. All the way, Carlotta is doing a little hop and pull, trying to free herself. He remembers her choo-choo and pulls it out of his pocket and just his thumb and forefinger. It's so yucky. He holds it away from himself. He imagines that it was once white. Now it's a grungy gray with dark smudges that Gavin imagines are old drool. Gavin waves at it in front of Carlotta's nose, hating that he has to touch the thing. She sniffs at it, but then looks at him with big sad eyes. He turns away and sees Richard on a bench just around the chain link fence that cordons off the skate area from the rest of the park. Carlotta starts up her yap and and the sound follows him as he fast walks over there. Richard looks up and gives him a big grin of surprise. I thought you had to walk that dog. Gavin smiles slyly and points to Carlotta, who settled down with her choo-choo. I can only stay for a little bit. How come you're not skating? 'Cause that Harper guy has my skateboard. He said he just wanted to borrow it for 5 minutes. It's been way longer than 5 minutes. Gavin scans the skateboarders until he sees Harper on Richard's skateboard and Darnell on his own. He narrows his eyes, still a little angry about the day before. Gavin definitely doesn't like Harper. In fact, he feels Harper was the one who led the laughter at his expense. Is that guy your brother's good friend? Kinda. They're in the same class, and he's always wanting to go everywhere Darnell goes and do whatever Darnell and his friends are doing. He came from this other school. I bet he got kicked out. Didn't he do third grade twice? Richard shrugs. Maybe. Well, you can share my board. We can take turns. Gavin slips on his helmet. He moves to the top of the first pocket and waits while one of the big boys goes down the curved wall, does a heel flip, propels himself up the opposite curved wall, then leaps onto the long stair railing. Down the older boy sails, like some kind of skateboard champion, to land nicely on top of his board, crouched and ready. Back and forth he goes, up and down one curved wall and then its opposite. It looks like he could do that forever. Gavin can only do the curved walls. For now, he adjusts his helmet, and when there's an opening for him, he jumps on his board and skates the curved walls back and forth. It gives him a wonderful feeling of freedom. He loves it. He still has to learn all the tricks he sees the bigger boys doing all the time, as soon as he doesn't have this dog-sitting job anymore. After a few minutes, he stops and carries his skateboard to Richard. He looks at Carlotta, who's going to town on her choo-choo. She's finally quieted down. She seems happy. Here you go, he says to Richard, handing over his board. Richard grins. He puts on his helmet and hurries off. Gavin watches him for a bit, then turns toward the more expert skateboarders. He learns he can learn a lot just from observing them. Gradually, Gavin becomes aware of a whimpering sound. At first, he pays no attention to it. The park is full of people and dogs, but little by little, the whimpering draws his attention away from the skateboarders. He glances over at Carlotta and sees her running back and forth, straining at her leash. She makes a strange whimpering noise as if she's upset about something. Gavin looks closely. He doesn't see Carlotta's choo-choo. He checks the ground all around her, but it's nowhere in sight. Where is it? Richard, he calls out, I have to see about Carlotta. Something's wrong. Richard, who is standing on top of one of the big half pipes and preparing to drop in, looks over at him and frowns. I have to go. Anyway, Gavin shouts, just drop off my board at my house on your way home. Okay, Richard calls back. Gavin suspects his mind is already on his next maneuver. Gavin searches the grass around Carlotta. While he paces and whimpers, it's got to be here, he thinks, but it's not. Could a squirrel have gotten it and carried it off? He looks down at Carlotta and rolls his eyes. Because of this stupid dog, he's had to cut his fun short. He does feel a teensy bit sorry for her, though. Gavin tries petting Carlotta to calm her down, but it doesn't work. She keeps whimpering, and now she's pulling at her leash. He leaves her tied to the bicycle rack and starts out in search of the choo-choo, keeping his eyes on the grass around him as he moves away. He circles the soccer field with no luck, then leads towards the large climbing structure on the playgrounds. Maybe one of the little kids ran off with it. Maybe his mother or father discovered that nasty thing on their child's possession and dropped it in the nearest garbage can. Gavin checks trash cans along the way. He grabs a thin branch from the ground and stirs the garbage around in one. No choo-choo. He supposes he could dig down further, but it's getting late, and he knows he should go get Carlotta and head home. He has a vision of Aunt Myrtle standing on the porch, scowling and tapping her foot. As he starts to the next trash can on his way to the play structure, a large brown dog with his long shaggy fur runs by. Its teeth are clamped down on something that looks just like Carlotta's choo-choo. In fact, he's sure it's Carlotta's choo-choo. It's the same grungy beige color. It has the same bitten off ends. The more he looks at it, the more he is sure. But suddenly he hears someone shout, "Whoa, Yankee, get back here!" It's a big, tall boy who looks like he might be in high school, maybe even college. He's wearing a sweatshirt with some kind of high school insignia on it. He has a deep, booming voice. "Now!" he yells. Sheepishly, the dog stops, gives the choo-choo a fierce shake, then trots back to the tall boy. Carlotta's toy is still gripped between its teeth. The big guy ruffles the dog's fur and stoops to attach a leash to its collar. Gavin needs to get that choo-choo back. He takes in one big breath to gather his courage and starts off towards the high school or college guy. He keeps up as Gavin approaches. Gavin starts. The guy shades his eyes across the afternoon sun and looks down at him, but he doesn't say anything. Your dog? Yeah? What about him? Gavin tries to figure out if the guy's words are friendly or unfriendly. He looks from the dog to the owner and then back to the dog. "What do you want?" the owner demands. That doesn't sound very friendly to Gavin. He swallows. I think your dog has my dog's toy. Gavin's glad he left Carlotta tied up back at the skate park out of view. He'd be embarrassed if the guy thought Carlotta was his dog. The guy looks down at the toy. "What makes you think so?" Gavin gains a bit of courage and says, "When I got to the park, my dog had her." He doesn't want to say choo-choo. It sounds dumb. Chew toy. "I mean, when I tied her up back at the skate park, she was playing with it. Now it's gone and..." The tall boy studies his dog. He seems to be thinking. Then he smiles. It's not a friendly smile. "Yeah, Hanky had that already. That's Yankee's." Gavin doesn't know what to say. He knows the guy is lying. Gavin watches as he saunters away, his big brown dog by his side. It's not fair. The guy's bigger than Gavin. He's older, and that means one thing. The older, larger person can tell a giant fib. The smaller person can't do anything about it. Gavin retraces his steps back to Carlotta, who is now jumping and yelping and making running attempts to free herself from the pole. He stands there and watches her for a moment. How is he going to explain her missing choo-choo? How? He can just see Aunt Myrtle's face when he tells her that a big dog, stole Carlotta's toy. Wait, he can't tell her that. He'll never hear the end of it from her. Aunt Myrtle will go on and on about Gavin not doing his job, not protecting Carlotta from losing her precious choo-choo. She'll probably complain to his mother and father. She'll probably act like he lost some special treasure worth zillions of dollars. Danielle will love it. What is he going to do? He looks at the whining Carlotta. He scrunches his mouth to the side. This is not good. Gavin paces back and forth. He can feel his heart beating fast while he thinks. He's got to come up with an idea. But what? For some reason, Carlotta stops her fidgeting and looks up at him, as if she's, too, as if she too is wondering what he's going to do. He unties her leash and starts home. When he gets there, Gavin heads straight for the backyard. He hurries past the kitchen window, hoping Aunt Myrtle won't spot him. He has to think. He has to come up with an idea. It won't be long before she'll be cross-examining him about Carlotta's outing. That, of course, will lead her to notice the missing choo-choo. "Give her to me," Aunt Myrtle says, startling Gavin, who'd been pacing again. He hadn't even heard her come out onto the back porch. Gavin climbs the stairs and hands her the leash. "How was everything?" Aunt Myrtle asks. Gavin can smell something yucky cooking in the kitchen. His heart sinking. "It was okay," he says. "Did she go to the bathroom?" Oh no, Gavin thinks. He'd forgotten all about that. Maybe she went to the bathroom while she was tied to the bike rack. And maybe she didn't. He can't be sure. Shouldn't he tell Aunt Myrtle a tiny fib? Should he tell Aunt Myrtle a tiny fib? He can't just say that he doesn't know. I don't think she had to go," he says. "What? Again?" Aunt Myrtle frowns down at Carlotta. "I'm just going to have to change her kibble." "Yeah, it must be the kibble," Gavin agrees. Aunt Myrtle turns to go back into the kitchen with Carlotta trotting behind her. Gavin heads straight into the kitchen sink to wash his hands, to wash all the school germs off his hands, as his mother says, and the dog germs too. When he opens the cabinet to pull out the box of wheat crackers, Aunt Myrtle says, "What are you doing?" I'm making me a snack." Aunt Myrtle shakes her finger at Gavin. "No, too close to dinner," she proclaims. He looks over at the stove. There's some awful stuff simmering in those pots. He just knows it. He closes the cabinet door and heads for his room so he can drop off the backpack and maybe sneak in a video game or two before homework. He's almost out of the kitchen when Aunt Myrtle asks, "Where's Carlotta's choo-choo?" Before Gavin can even think about what he's going to say, the words come out. "I must have left it outside." Aunt Myrtle looks over at Carlotta. She has settled onto her new bed on the porch with her head resting on her paws. "Well, you make sure you go get that choo-choo before the day's over. She has to have her choo-choo." "Yes, Aunt Myrtle," Gavin says. He runs up the stairs. The door to Daniel's room is closed. She must be in there doing who knows what. His dad is still at work, and his mother must be at the market or something. The house is quiet. He slips into his room, closes the door, and breathes a sigh of relief. Right in the middle of homework, right in the middle of writing 10 declarative sentences and underlining the subject once and predicate twice, Gavin gets a brilliant idea. Just buy Carlotta another choo-choo. He'll have to dip into the money he's been saving all year for a new skateboard. Anything is better than having to hear more Aunt Myrtle's complaints. That is the end of chapter 5. Next, chapter 6, Harper and the Sticky Fingers. Everyone have a great day.